time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Deer Camp Coffee,
Buck Baits,
JPO Game Calls,
The Island Armory,
Packer Max,
Sunrise Archery,
and C3 Better the Hunt Technology.
Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams, sitting in a toasty, no, it's just hot.
It's hot.
Blazing hot cabin tonight with none other than Dan DeFaw, and we've got our UNJ Fishing Pro staffer, Adam Wynn. He's sitting in the wings right now, so we'll have him on here in just a second.
That's right. We're gonna have him on doing something first for tonight. Triple box.
Yep.
We think it's gonna pull off. Compared to last week when we had technical difficulties in the studio.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It would have been a lot hotter because that's the reason we didn't have a show last night. The AC went out, so we got the AC running, but it's still hot in here. So.
Right. So, it's been one heck of a hot week, and I tell you what, it's June. Well, it's summer now, right?
Yep.
So, but it is what it is, and welcome to Michigan in the summertime. So,
well, let's help the people who help us.
Let's do that. And I tell you what, folks, we're talking fishing tonight, but make sure you get over to buckbaits.com because they do have some fishing gear. Get over there. Check out the website, buckbaits.com. Use the promo code UNJ20. You get 20% off your order. Check out their fishing stuff that they do have over there. And new this week, and folks, thank you to Easy Cut. We now get to offer our folks, listeners, watchers, a 15% off your Easy Cut products. Use the code UNJ15 off at easycutproducts.com. You'll get 15% off your order. You see us using them all the time here at Up North Journal. So if you want some, go get some.
There you go.
I tell you what, Packer Max, you see Mr. Mark Coleman pedaling it around the field.
That was funny.
And
pushing a cultipacker with a bike.
Exactly. A three-wheeler, a bike. And if you use the promo code UNJ25, you'll get $25 off your Packer Max at packermax.com. Give Lincoln Roan a call.
Bicycle not included.
Bicycle not included. I want to see Lincoln Roan on that bicycle. We're going to try to make that happen. We'll figure it out. Island Armory. Hope, Jason, you're feeling better. He's in recovery mode. But go over to islandarmory.com. Check out what they have in stock or what you can order. Use the promo code UNJ10. You will get 10% off your order. JPO Game Calls. Again, we're heading into fall. Get your game calls, whether it be a deer call, duck call, maybe a coyote call. Get over to jpogamecalls.com. Use the promo code UNJ10. Get 10% off your order. I tell you what, we're drinking it. It's hot out, and it's hot coffee. We're drinking the UNJ blend today, and if you go to deercampcoffee.com, use the promo code UNJ10, you get 10% off your order over there.
While you're there, make sure you pick up the Up North Journal Medium Roast Blend, which is what we're drinking here tonight.
Right.
I did check and see what I made.
So. Oh, there you go. And if you flip over to here, we've got the Mackinac Bridge in view from the Upper Peninsula today. The other camera's down, so I found this one. It is 7 degrees up in St. Ignace as we speak. And if you go on up to Newberry and check out Ciders, get a pizza and some Deer Camp coffee, you can enjoy it right there in Newberry, Michigan.
Well, the Mackinac Bridge is apropos tonight for our guest that we're going to be talking to for the UP, all the way up in the UP. You'd have to cross that, but we have got Pat on from MAGS Custom Rods, all the way from Gwinn, Michigan. Pat, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Roasting. What's the temperature up there?
It wasn't too bad today. It was probably 75, 80, but the last 2 days were high 90s.
Yeah, that's unusual for up there at that time of the year, isn't it?
Yeah, 2 days ago it was like 98, but they said it was a record high, so.
I bet.
I was loving it, though. I was soaking it up. We don't get to see the sun very much up here, so.
There you go. Also, we got Adam Wynn, our UNJ Fishing Pro staffer, on with us tonight, who actually has purchased some of your products and recommended that we have you on the show. So, Adam, we're just going to kind of hand this to you a little bit here and let you run with it a little bit. So, this is your first time doing an interview for us. So, Danny and I are here. We'll jump in with you, but, talk a little bit about why you chose to go with MAGS and take it away.
Yeah. I actually found Pat on Facebook just just off a random. Watched him for a year. He started growing pretty good. And then first thing I got from him was a ultralight ice rod. Put it to the test, and it was catching fish left and right. So ended up buying 2 more of them. Ended up buying an open water rod from him. Bought another open water rod from him. So I got 5 rods from him, and they all perform very, very good. So.
Very nice. So he purchased some rods from you, but you said that you've been following for a while. Pat, how long have you been doing this? Where did you get into rod building?
So I got into it just over 5 years ago, but I would say first 2 years was just kind of like a hobby. I just, I did a decent amount, but it was just kind of like I'd do it on the side, and I just got into it because I just wanted a nice steelhead rod because I was really big into steelhead back in the day, and I couldn't really find exactly what I wanted, so I was like, all right, well, I'll try to make one, and I did, and showed a couple buddies, and it kind of just slowly snowballed at first, and I was building them for friends and stuff, and then after about the 2-year mark, I was like, I think I could probably, hire a couple guys and maybe turn this into something, and 5 years later, it's been keeps me busy. I work way more than I thought I would. I thought I could fish a little bit more, but I definitely can't. But it's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make right now. I really, really love doing what I'm doing, so it's pretty awesome.
Well, you got into this, you said, as a hobby about 5 years ago. It took a couple years for it to take off. So if you're working so much you can't fish, this must be your primary job now. What were you doing before you started this?
So I owned a charter business on Lake Superior, and then I started that just before I started doing the rods. But before that, I was a professional MMA fighter. I lived out of Milwaukee and trained out of there for about 5 to 6 years. And then I was good, I was doing good. I had like 20 fights. I was 19-1. And then I don't know. Fishing has always had a place in my heart, and then after my last fight, it was in Wisconsin, and I went fishing, and I just never went back to the gym. I usually would come up to the UP to fish, and I did, and I never went back, never even talked to my coach, never talked to my manager. I just went fishing and never came back, and I told myself fishing one day, I'm like, I got to do something where I could just fish for a living or something in the industry. So I started the charter business, and then the rod business came a few months later, and they both took off like big time. So I bought a second boat. Last year I had 3 captains running. We were running, 3 trips a day on each boat, and we were turning down trips, and we were super busy. And last fall I was going to buy a third boat, and then I just was getting so busy doing the rods. I'm like, I don't know if that's what I really want to do. I would rather dedicate all my time to MAGS and just kind of see what I could do with it. And so that's what I did. I sold my charter business, and now I'm all in on MAGS and just trying to see what we could do with it.
So you were fighting in the ring, and now you went to fighting fish.
Yeah. Fighting fish is a lot easier on the body, that's for sure.
I bet.
But I think overall I had just close to 7 years as an amateur and a pro, and I never even sprained my ankle. I never got knocked out. I've never broke a bone, and I wrestled for 15 years at a really high level too. Never broke a bone or sprained an ankle. I mean, I've been extremely lucky when it comes to that. But I could tell there's days where I feel really good, but I definitely have some miles on the body. But I've been really, really lucky to not have ever been hurt doing anything.
That's awesome. You get to do the fight in the ring. I can't even imagine what that's like. I mean, most people will never have that experience, but to come out unscathed, here we live near the Flint, Michigan area, and as you probably know, there's a lot of boxers that come out of this area, and there's injuries and all that kind of good stuff that goes with it, and all the pain and turmoil you put into it in the training. So yeah, I think fighting fish was probably an easy decision to make and a lot better on the body.
Yeah, it was. Definitely an easy decision. At the time, it was iffy. It was up in the air because I didn't know if any of the businesses were going to succeed. I didn't know if they were going to be, But if I wasn't doing what I'm doing successfully, then I probably would regret it because I was really good at it, and there were some really big doors that were there. I just decided to go a different route, and it worked out. And I feel like I've done a lot of things in my life, and I feel like if you really want to work super hard, you could do anything. You know, you just have to put the time in. And I never dreamed that I could make a fishing pole and sell it, but I put a lot of time in the last 5 years, and 7 days a week, working long days, and just busting my butt, and it's happening, and I'm super grateful. I love what I do, and I could see myself doing it for the rest of my life.
Where did the passion for fishing come from? Did you start out as a young kid, family, or how did that evolve?
So I remember my parents would tell me that when I was 3 years old, I would tell them that I'm going to be a professional fisherman when I grow up. And I just remember saying that through my childhood years. And my dad got me into fishing at a young age, and I just loved it and just took it to a whole different level. And I fished throughout high school. And then after high school, I kind of just took a wrong turn in life, and I didn't fish. I didn't do anything good, and kind of went down a tough road, and I got into fighting, and it totally brought me back to reality, and got my head on straight, and gave me what I needed to do to get out of the hole I was in. And so I've always loved to fish, and the only time I didn't fish in my life was just when I was in a dark place. But I'm super grateful for every experience I've ever had, just because I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if I didn't travel those roads,
It's the outdoors has a way to bring you back around and center you and bring you home. I mean, there's times when I go to the woods or sit on the water at the edge of a lake or a stream, kayaking or whatever, and nature it does it. It really grounds you and brings you back and kind of lets you know what's important in life. So
yeah,
I can understand that.
I love the outdoors.
Do you do any hunting at all, or is it mainly fishing?
The last time I hunted, I was 14. I didn't hunt for almost 20 years, and then last fall, my brother shot an 8-pointer with his bow, and he called me up. He's like, "Hey, I need a hand tracking this deer," and I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I drove out there, and it just fired me up. I'm like, man, what have I been doing the last 20 years? So I literally went and bought a bow the next day, and
Wow.
I just totally fell in love. Like, I spent way too much money and got everything I needed, and I've just been absolutely hooked. And then a few months after that, in December, this house popped up, and I was kind of looking for hunting land or something, and this house popped up with some really good land on it, 25 acres, and it has like really good deer hunting. So that came up, and I got that, and I got a bunch of deer in my backyard. I got 4 different bear coming in right now, and it's like a animal factory. So I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason, and I just feel like things have just fell into place. But I've worked really hard to get where I'm at too, but it's been pretty awesome.
Yeah, nothing comes easy, man. It's hard work pays off, and it looks like it's definitely paying off for you.
Yeah,
We've got some questions popping up here in the chat, also, and we're gonna let Adam sit and talk to you about these rods. So let's take our first break. We come back, we're gonna get into the rod building aspect of what you're doing. So
okay,
we're gonna step outside, and we'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back, second segment of the show, and we kind of got to know Pat a little bit here.
He went to that, like you said, he went to a dark place. He ended up, the outdoors was a calming source to him. Mm-hmm. He's now hooked on hunting. We're talking fishing. And just so you know, everybody, when we're talking with Pat, when you're done watching the interview, get on over to his website, magscustomrods.com. What we're talking about tonight, you can find everything probably right on his website, from custom rods to some badass builds that he has. So just go over to magscustomrods.com and check him out. So Adam, you started off. You want to start off in the ice fishing realm?
Sure.
All right.
Take it away, bud.
All right. So what was like your how did you actually get started like building rods? Like were you self-taught, or did you go to like seminars, or
So I, when I built my first one, I just kind of watched a few videos, and building that first one, I learned a ton. So I just kind of like watched a bunch of videos, and then I traveled all over the Midwest doing these little, there's these places that do like fishing conventions or like rod building shows and conventions. And I went there and I went to a bunch of different ones from Iowa, Minnesota, Illinois, Wisconsin, just to learn and then take what they showed me, watch the videos and just take it and kind of just, I mean, the best way to do it is to just do it and learn from your mistakes. And I messed up quite a few rods and it gets expensive. So that's how I started. And then just the more rods I built, the better I got. And just kind of, I'm still learning, like different stuff and easier way to do things, cleaner way to do things. And it's fun. I don't think I'll ever stop learning, just learning how to, now we're a little bit bigger. So just now I'm doing more of like the operations, like more efficient ways to do things and stuff like that. So it's a process building a rod. Before I got into it, I never realized how much goes into it. I mean, it's a process for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen a lot of videos you posted. It looks like a pretty lengthy process for sure.
Yeah.
What kind of, so everyone knows that's like listening and watching, what kind of ice rods do you like offer for like walleye, panfish, big water fishing?
So we offer, I think eight or nine different models, different lengths. So we offer 2 different styles of panfish. We got perch rods, walleye rods, pike rods, pretty much anything that you can catch fish with, we make. And my favorite is the lake trout rod. We have in a few different models. And we do keep rods in stock, which are still same blanks, components and stuff, but they're just a solid, different color, just so we can keep stuff in stock ready to go. But if you want like a customized rod, we can do any length, any action, any color, handle styles. So you can do a lot with them. So
yeah, I've definitely got a couple, and they're pretty customizable for sure.
Yeah,
got the whole color wheel. What is your best like selling ice fishing rod that you have? Is it the ultralight or?
It's our power noodle, hands
Okay.
down. We probably sell 5 to 1, and that's including 5 power noodles, and that's compared to every other model combined, 5 to 1. It's just pan fishing's absolutely huge all over. And you don't need equipment. You can just go to a pond down the road or any lake, and they always have panfish. And they're a blast. And so pan fishing is hands down the most popular ice fishing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have a couple of those power noodles, and I've got some pretty big fish on them. So
yeah,
they can handle some big fish for sure.
Yeah.
So, what about like your open water rods? What's your different ones you have for those?
So pretty much we have anything from your 5-foot trout rod, our panfish 7-footer, and then for our walleye stuff we have 6.2, 6.8, 6.10s, 7.2, 7.6s, and medium lights, and then we have our lake trout rods, our medium heavies, and then we have a full 5-rod line of bass rods. So, like I said, pretty much anything technique specific or fish specific, we can make, or we have in stock at the shop, or we can custom make one for you with like any colors. And we even do fly rods, saltwater. We do quite a bit of saltwater business. So pretty much anything.
Which ones are the most difficult to build?
The saltwater stuff.
Saltwater.
They're more expensive. They're bigger. You need bigger tools. They take up a lot more thread, epoxy, glue. Everything's more expensive with saltwater. And even the saltwater fishing, the lures, the gas, just everything is so much more expensive. And the same goes for the components to build a rod for them too.
We're looking at your website as you talk about your rods and the power noodle and stuff. But you gotta for everybody in the outdoors, when you name a rod, the deer meat for dinner rod.
So that's he's a big YouTube guy, and I was actually at my shop a few years ago, and Larry Smith was with him, and he's probably one of the biggest YouTubers in the country right now for the outdoors. And he stopped into the shop, and I was building some tuna rods at the time, and he stopped in. He's like, "Hey man, I want 10 of these rods," and I was like, "Okay, I'll make them, and then just bring me out fishing." So I made him. He flew me down there, brought me to the Bahamas, and we designed a rod together. And he promoted it on his channel, and it did really, really good. It still does. So that was a pretty fun little project.
And so the ease of getting you to build a custom rod. What's the time length we're looking at? You know, like Adam wants to order a custom rod for you. What time length is he looking from when he places his order?
So right now it's around 7 to 10 days, and then you got a few days of shipping. So most of the time you'll have your rod within 2 weeks. Like, it'll be at your house.
That's a quick turnaround.
It's not a bad, right now, considering other things that you try to order, and they say months.
If you can get it at all.
If you can get it at all. Oh, that leads me, thank you for that, just bringing that up. Are you running into any supply shortages?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, big time. But I kind of prepped for this. So last year, I just pretty much spent every dollar that I had on just bought inventory, just because I would be really mad at myself if I had all this work and no product to build it. So any extra dollar that I get, I just buy inventory because I know I'm going to use it and I know I'm going to need it. So I tried to plan as best as I could for it. But yeah, the supply chains are tough right now.
We got a question coming in here from Tammy, who is on our staff as well. She is a walleye fisherman, but she's asking for someone that doesn't have a custom rod. What would you say to her to get them the best talking point into why they should purchase a custom rod versus a store-bought rod?
That's the thing. If you've never tried one, you'll never understand. But you have to hold one and fish it and use it and just see the difference. You're going to have way better sensitivity. You can have the rod built exactly how you want it, way higher end components than any other mass-produced rod. And once you use one, it's extremely hard to go back to, your basic fiberglass, like lower end stuff. But if you've never used one, you'd never know. Like, I never even had a clue how much nicer and how much more efficient you can be. And guys ask me, oh, well, if I spend that, will I catch more fish? And 100% you will, because you'll feel a lot more.
Yep.
And it's night and day from fishing, like a cheap, ugly stick or a lower end rod, and using like something that's extremely nice and sensitive and lightweight and that's, specific for what you're doing. It's a whole different ball game. Like, it's really hard to go back once you use something really nice.
Adam was shaking his head as you were describing that. Adam, give us your testimony on it.
Yeah, I mean, especially, like I said, the first rods I bought from him were ice fishing rods. And I was just using, $40, $50 Fenwicks, from Dick's or Dunham's or something like that. And as soon as I bought his, took it out on the ice and was catching some decent crappie with it, it was a game changer. I mean, the sensitivity on it and the fish you can feel on it, it's definitely a night and day thing for sure.
Okay, so I'll go to Pat for this one. The biggest fish you've caught on your smallest rod?
We got a 40-pound lake trout last year, 2 years ago, on our 40-inch medium heavy. Which, yeah, it's kind of designed as a lake trout rod, but we were fishing open water for it, which I was just kind of testing and just kind of seeing what we could do and what they can handle. And we got a 40-pounder on that. And then one of my buddies got a 6.5-foot sturgeon on our 36-inch medium light, which he showed me the video, and I thought for sure that was going to snap, but it was bent right at the handle, and it's a perch rod, and you're catching 150, 160-pound sturgeon with it. So it's pretty cool.
I tell you what about you, Adam? I know you've caught some big fish on those little power noodles, I think is what they're called, right?
Yep.
What'd you catch?
That 36-inch pike from last winter. That was on a power noodle, 28-inch, 4-millimeter tungsten jig. So
there you go.
It's all on video too.
Yeah.
So Steve Schwartz says, I love my MAGS 7.6 ML and how it handles lighter jigs. Pitch the shallows for walleyes. A 5-star rating for that.
Sweet.
So there you go. Testimony coming in left and right. As we go from ice fishing to open water, one of the things you sit there and like you said, getting it into the hands of people to try a custom rod as opposed to a store-bought type rod. They got a whole bunch of shows out. We talked in the previous, before the show, that you will be attending some of the shows, and we'll try to get a list of where you're going to be, that maybe we can send some people your way to stop in and see it, get their little hands on MAGS custom rods and see what they can do, and show them the difference that you bring out in the fishing world with the touch and feel of it.
Yeah, we do about 6 shows a year, and we do have about 18 retailers across the Midwest. Just a lot of guys, when you spend that kind of money on a rod, it's nice to hold it and see what you actually want. But downstate, we got both of the Jay's stores carry them, and like Wisconsin, we got Dick Smith's, The Real Shot, North Shore and O'Connell, and just a handful, about 18 of them across the Midwest. So
that is awesome. Good to hear that you're reaching out. Like we said earlier, he's reached out all the way to Australia. But we're coming up on our second break, and when we get there, we're just not going to talk freshwater and hard water, but we're going to talk a little bit about saltwater.
Okay, looks like the electricity is pulsating here at the house.
All right.
Come on, power company, keep on. I know it's hot out, but keep cranking that energy towards us, man. Do not take us off the air tonight.
Right?
All right, we're going to step outside and take our next break, and if the power continues, we'll be right back after this.
Right?
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Third segment of the show. Man, time's flying tonight.
I know, right? And, and one of the questions coming in, this is kind of an interesting question, but do your rods float?
No, not with it. Definitely 100% not with a reel on it.
There you go.
So, Mark Coleman, I don't know why you would ask that, but if you plan on dropping a MAGS reel into the water with a reel on it, you ain't getting it back. You'll be swimming after it.
And that's why he's in Indiana, not up here on the Great Lakes.
Oh, good point.
Yeah, I think if you just have the rod bare, with our MAGS grip full handle, it probably would float or it would sink very slow. But who's going out on the boat with a rod without a reel,
There you go.
Maybe somebody from Indiana.
It's not a cane pole.
Right? Exactly. So, speaking, we went into the break, we're talking about, you also, there's another aspect that you go down, is you do fly fishing rods as well.
Yep. Yeah, we do. We don't do a ton of fly business, but we definitely do a good amount of it. And, I had a guy come into the shop and pick one up today. But, yeah, that's pretty much summer only, your June, July, August.
Do you find that little segment of your business is picking up because, like you said, that's more of a summer sport where you can get a little trout stream here and there, and you can kind of take a rod and head off down that way? Do you find that a growing segment?
I don't think it's growing like fly fishing. I don't think it's big, but I feel like there's not a lot of guys that do it. I just feel like the guys that do it spend big money on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that industry is very small, just from what I've noticed from interacting with, thousands of customers and just, very few fly fishermen. But the ones that are there are definitely spending big money on stuff.
Yeah, they're definitely serious about their sport. Of course, that's anything with the outdoors. Everything costs a lot of money if you get into it heavily.
Well, that's like if you get into fly tying, right? The little jigs and everything.
Archery.
It's like reloading, right? You need all those
kayaking, camping, anything. It costs money to do this stuff.
Exactly. So
get the best while you're at it.
Yeah. So, Adam, you want to take them down to saltwater?
Yeah. How did you get started? Like, did someone just ask you to build them some saltwater rods, or what kind of did you just start experimenting with them, or?
I've always done a little bit of saltwater fishing, and I just built a couple rods like when I first got into it and took them down to Florida. And then saltwater fishing's a blast. It absolutely blows freshwater out of the water. It's like they're bait fish that you're catching the bait fish down there, and they're fighting harder than any of the game fish that we have. Like a 30-pound king, you go catch, a 4 or 5 pound blue runner or bonita. I mean, that pulls just as hard as a 30-pound king. So the more I did it, the more I wanted to do it more and more and more. So now I try to go down to the salt, 3 to 4 times a year. I bring rods every time, test them out, check them out, and fish with them, and I love it. And I went to Florida in May, so I fished 4 out of the 7 days I was there, and yeah, I absolutely love it. But it's expensive. I could never live down there because I couldn't afford that kind of fishing, and but it's a good place to visit, that's for sure.
You got to have some testing time in. I mean, vacation time in, right?
Yeah.
What's your favorite saltwater fish to go after?
Probably right now it's yellowfin tuna on big, 12 to 14 inch topwater plugs. I do that trip every year down in Texas. We go out about 200 miles and we go fish the oil rigs at night, and it is an absolute blast. But it's a grind, like you're not catching a bunch of them, but I think I got like 6 or 7 from 80 to 110 pounds in a day and a half trip. But if you can just go to Florida and just go out 20, 30 miles, you can go catch as many amberjack as you want on topwater, and that's an absolute blast because they pull super hard.
Okay, I got to ask, 80 to 100-pound fish, how long does it take you to reel it in?
The first one I got, I kind of babied it because I didn't understand how much heat you can actually put on those fish. So it kicked my butt. It took me an hour, and when I was done, I was so wiped out, like I didn't want to fish for like a couple hours. It was like going through a really exhausting workout. And then I talked to a couple of the locals that are like really experienced. Like, man, when you hook that fish, you just put it on them right out of the gate, because once they turn their head and go, they keep going and going and going. And I got my biggest tuna, it was 110 pounds. I caught it in 12 minutes because I just I had the right rod, I had the right reel, and the right tackle, and I just put it on them. And I'm like, man, that's way more fun when you can actually, beat them a little bit quicker, because I was so tired after that first one, I didn't even want to fish. I just couldn't.
Wears you out worse than an MMA fight?
Oh, man, I was in way better shape when I was fighting, but, man, that thing kicked my butt. I was really surprised at how exhausted my whole body was.
That's awesome. Adam, you want to take Mark Coleman's question?
Yeah. Do you offer reel recommendations for pairing with your custom rods, or can you put about any type of reel in them?
Yeah, you can put, if you have a reel preference, you just want to get the right size. But we do stock reels that with different sizes to pair with our rods that are well priced, but they're really nice. So I would say with like a panfish, brook trout, you want like a 1000 series, and then your walleye stuff and 2000 is the way to go. So.
Yeah, that's what you paired on my open water ones is the 2000s. Mm-hmm. They work pretty well. So.
Yeah.
Well, question for you. Building these custom rods for people that don't have any experience with them, what do you run into as far as the biggest misconception with a custom rod when you're trying to encourage somebody to try one out or to buy one?
Well, there's a lot of people that just don't know what they want, and they're just so undecisive. I just have them call me or call someone at the shop, and I just ask them the questions. What do you fish for most? What do you like throwing for baits? Because you pretty much match your rod to what style of bait that you're fishing. Like, you can go catch a 50-inch pike on one of our medium lights, no problem. But if you're throwing a huge 2 to 3 ounce bait on a medium light, it's not going to work right. Mm-hmm. So you want to match your rod up to your bait. And then guys, so I get that out of them first, what they're fishing and how they're fishing. And then they ask about a split grip or full grip. That's, you shave off a little bit of weight with the split grip, and it's a looks thing. People want it to look sweet. And then with colors, I get a lot of guys who are just like, oh, just make it cool. And I have guys that want to do a whole set to match their boat or their favorite colors or their girlfriend's favorite color, and you can put your names on them. But I think I've just put a bass on Adams on the last rod we made for him, and
yeah, that turned out sweet.
Things you can do with them. We just did a set for a guy where he likes a shorter handle, so we customized his handle to exactly where he wanted it, down to the 1/2 inch, and so there's a lot of stuff you can do. But our stock rods are pretty much designed for performance and for the most common people that fish. That's what we kind of put the handle lengths and the colors and all that stuff for those. But if you wanted to customize a rod from top to bottom, that's an option that a lot of people like to do.
Give me a price range that we're looking at from low end to high end for a custom rod.
So our open water rods start at about 149 to about 250 for like your walleye, bass, stuff like that. And then our steelhead rods are a little bit more expensive because they're 13 feet long. We do custom cork, and those will start at anywhere from 3, and they can go all the way up to 600. So it's pretty much whatever you want to do to them. Titanium eyes, and titanium's a really expensive metal. So I mean, a set of guides is extremely expensive for them.
Yeah, listening to you talk about the customization of these, it reminds me a lot of the archery world, because guys got to have everything match. You know, the quiver's got to be the right camo pattern. It's got to match the bow. It's got to have the color combinations on the string. It's got to match my camo that I'm wearing in my boot. You know, we go on and on about it, but it seems like, you know, in the fishing realm, it's starting to be that way as well. But the other thing, you were talking about the different, you know, the stiffness of the rod, the length of the rod, how sensitive it is versus the weights. To me, it kind of equates back to archery as well. You know, you've got to have the right arrow. It's got to have the right spine deflection, the right weight, broadhead on the end. You know, there's a lot of science behind all of this. Where did you learn that science to how to put these combinations together?
So when I just started building them, I mean, obviously I don't build rods and not test them. Like, I had a lot more time to test back in the day, but I still do test heavy before I bring on another model. And I just fish them and I'm like, oh, this one's a little too tip heavy, so I'm going to adjust the handle and everything else and make the adjustments. And then I'll fish it. And once I get it right, that's when I, you know, because there is a lot to it. You know, if you have a rod that has too much weight on the tip, that's going to tire out your hand all day. But if it's balanced perfect, it's almost like holding nothing. And a lot of our walleye rods are, you know, anywhere from 4.5 to 5 ounces, which is a light rod. But if it's not balanced, it's gonna feel heavy all day if you're jigging it. But if you have a nicely balanced rod, it's almost like holding nothing. And I'm still learning. Like I said, I still, you know, I don't just try to do this just to hurry up and get it done. Like, I really, really love doing this, and I want to make the best stuff that I possibly can. That nothing makes me feel better is when I get the reviews. It's like, man, this is the best rod. And we get those a lot. And it's just, I got a really good team. You know, my guys here, super good, attention to detail. And, you know, without them, I wouldn't be able to do nothing. But it's been fun, and, you know, I just try to put out the best stuff that I possibly can, because I don't like, now that I've fished with it, I don't like fishing with, you know, stuff that's not good. And if you take care of it, just like a bow, you know, you're going to spend $1,500 to $2,000 on a bow, but if you take care of that bow, it's going to last forever. Just same thing with a nice rod. And I do try to keep my prices competitive. You know, $220 for a custom rod that's really high end, that's really not too bad compared to a lot of other companies doing it. So I try to make it affordable for the average fisherman, not just the higher end guys.
So you test every rod that you build then, right?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
And then, Adam, if you see Mark's question above that one.
Mark asked, do you offer any repair services on your rods or on any of the rods that you sell?
On any of my stuff, like if you break the blank, the rod itself, it's really not fixable. But if you, say you smash a guide and break it off, if you send it back, we'll fix it for free. I mean, if our handle or any of our work ever fails, we will fix or replace it for free. And then if you break an eye off or, you know, and it's your fault, if you send it in, we'll replace it, fix it for free. But obviously, if you slam it in a car door, we can't really fix the blank. Once that blank's damaged, you're never going to make it the same again.
So then you got to buy another rod.
Yeah, right. And Tammy definitely wants to know, do you have pink as a color for a custom rod?
Yes, I do. We have it in ice rods, and we just got them in open water rods too. I got one sitting behind me right now.
And Matthew Waltenberg says you are the best rod maker out there. A very good product.
I appreciate that, Matt. He's a good guy. I think he's been a customer for a while now. So
I'll tell you what, we're coming up here towards the last break, but before we go to break, one quick question. When you first started building rods, do you still have the first rod that you ever built?
Yeah, I actually have it in my shop.
Okay.
And now looking at it 5 years later, does not look very good. It did the job, and but yeah, it looks a little bit rough. But I didn't have the tools that I do now back then either. So
okay, so you do it a little differently then.
Yeah,
okay.
A lot different.
He's a continuous improving kind of guy.
Yeah,
that's the sign of a good builder.
That's
always
right.
honing your skills. So, all right, we're going to take our last break. We're going to step outside. We come back. I know Danny's got a few usual questions. We'll see if anything else pops up here in the chat here in the last segment. So we'll step outside. We'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at psearchery.com.
Last segment of the show, before we turn Danny loose, you're up in the UP. If somebody happened to be driving through Gwinn, would they be able to stop into your shop and take a look at and maybe try out a few different things and put them in their hand there?
Yeah, so we have all the models in stock. So if you wanted to just hold one and feel the action, you can buy a stock rod, or you can check everything out and then design one right here in the shop. You know, if you don't want a stock, you want to go custom, you can pick the action you want by feeling it. And then you can go through and we can run you through the shop and you can literally design your own rod from top to bottom.
How did you come up with MAGS for a name?
So my last name is Magdaleno, and back in the day, when I'd fish with some of my buddies, they'd just call me Mags. And when I got this going, I'm like, man, I got to think of something. I just don't know what. It's got to be simple. I mean, you don't want to have a name where you have to say all the time that's super long. And, I mean, Mags is pretty simple. And so that's what I went with. And I had a guy make me this logo, and I like how simple it is. It looks good on everything. And it's just super simple, and I'm really, really happy with it. And I'm happy I went with that name.
We're looking at your apparel page right now, and yeah, it is a nice, simple logo. It looks good on everything, whether it's black, gray, dark, light, dark, or when you got the one in yellow that you got on your head right now. But yeah, that MAGS logo looks really good, and it's good to know where the origins of the name of your company came from, because it has definitely meaning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Adam, you got any questions?
Yeah, how did the Eskimo deal come about that you built the ice rods for?
Oh, so I was just, I was at my shop, and it was July. I remember July because July is our slowest month of the year. So I'm always like trying to, find work and just trying to come up with cool stuff, get caught up on everything. And I just got this call out of the blue from one of the Eskimo reps or marketing guys, and he just kind of ran it by me, and I was like, just like mind blown. I'm like, is this a real guy from Eskimo? Like, I just didn't even believe it. And then, so we talked, and then he said he was interested, and then I didn't hear from him for like a month, and I'm like, well, that was short-lived, but I was excited for a minute. And then I got this call like a month later, and he's like, all right, we're ready to do this deal. And I was just like, holy cow, I'm building rods for like the second biggest ice fishing company in the world. I was just like so mind blown. I couldn't believe it. And so yeah, we did that, and man, it was so cool.
Do you know how they got a hold? Do you know how they got to know of you?
So I think one of their staff used to live in the UP, or used to travel up here, and I think he got his hands on one of our rods at the shows or just something. But I didn't know. I didn't even know the guy, and so I think he did that, and he's like, oh, I think it'd be cool to do a collab. I use your stuff. It's really good. And I was like so excited for that. That was one of the coolest things I've ever done, to have a company of that caliber call this little guy in the middle of the UP where there's just nothing. There's no jobs. There's just nothing going on up here. And for a company like that to call me, it was, man, I just felt so good. It was almost after like winning a fight. Just all that hard work paid off. And yeah, it's we just signed another. We're doing another deal with them, so we'll be doing some more different styles and stuff this year. And yeah, it's really good people over there. I got to go check out their factories and see all the cool stuff that they're doing over there. So, and then I actually hand delivered the rods last year. I drove them right there and met everyone, and it was really cool.
So it's going to be a sense of accomplishment and recognition as well from somebody of that caliber.
Yeah, I feel like they have some of the best ice fishing stuff in the game right now. Like, their stuff is really good quality. I mean, Clam, I believe, is quite a bit bigger. You know, Clam's a good company too, but just to have, you know, a company like Eskimo reach out, it was really nice.
So another question coming down is, so for Pat, what is the next big thing for you in custom rod business, or is it a secret?
It is a secret. I wonder who asked that question, because we just did something absolutely massive. We've been working on it for about 9 months, and I just went down to tour for a tour, and we just got it done, and it's going to be huge, and I'm extremely excited for it. It's definitely like nothing that anyone would ever expect. It's different, but it's super cool, and it's going to be huge for the team here.
So we're looking a couple months out for the big announcement?
I think it's going to be around early August, but yeah, I'm super excited for it. I mean, the potential is super huge, but I'm not expecting, I'm not a huge guy that just, this is what's going to happen. I just work my butt off and hope for the best and prepared for not the best, but the potential for this is just absolutely amazing. So I'm really excited, but I'm trying not to get ahead of myself either.
Well, I tell you what, you let us know when it's coming down, and we'll be glad to share the news with everybody that we know up here at Up North Journal, and obviously Adam Wynn on the fishing side, telling everybody on the fishing community about what's happening with MAGS and what's going on there, hopefully early August.
Adam, that's your assignment now.
Yeah, I'll be watching for it for sure. Yeah. Well, that's awesome, Pat. Congrats, man.
Yeah, thanks. It's I don't know, I'm just mind blown all the time. I'm super grateful for the support, and it's been a journey, man. It's, a lot of the stuff I'm really not looking for. Like, I'm not out like really searching for any of the things that are happening. So I couldn't imagine if I did, but I like growing the way we're growing, and yeah, just kind of keeping it quality, custom, design your own stuff and top notch. But we'll see. We got some really cool stuff coming up, and I think with that, what we're doing, it might be, very overwhelming.
That'll be awesome. And I tell you what, that and you kind of said it, is you're not going out looking for it. So my thought is that it's a lot of word of mouth, which is good, because it's like a testament to you. It's not the sales pitch kind of Pat coming through. It's somebody else telling somebody else, hey, go check out MAGS Custom Rods and look for yourself.
Proof and performance.
Yeah, proof and performance. Yeah. And then you start to reap your benefits like you are. And hopefully this deal that you're going to announce whenever you do, Adam will spill it to everybody, including Mr. Mark Coleman, because he's not going to spill it right now. So
yeah,
it'll
be fun.
Adam, got any questions for him?
What's your favorite fishing? Open water, ice fishing, or saltwater fishing?
Well, saltwater is not even really a comparison, so I'll just leave that out.
So how about in Michigan? What's your favorite fishing?
Through the ice, 100% lake trout. Lake trout through the ice is an absolute ride. If you've never done it, it'll ruin every other kind of ice fishing for you. Like, it's an absolute blast when you can get on a good lake trout bite. And then open water, I chartered for lake trout for the last 10 years, but recently I've been bass guy, man. I have been chasing those green largemouth heavy for the last couple of years, and I think a lot of it's just coming off of a big boat, high stress. You're running 100 miles a trip, a lot of expenses and stress. So my bass boat, no stress. It's all fun. The bass are always biting, and you can have the lake to yourself because nobody even wants to fish them up here. So,
right, exactly.
I've been a bass guy the last few years.
Nobody
crazy.
touches them up there.
Yeah.
So Mark Coleman also says that he wants to see your name on the side of a race car. That's when you know you've made it.
I had the offer last summer to be on one of the NASCAR cars, but it just didn't make sense for me. It was too short notice, but didn't make sense. But there's a few local race cars around here that have them on there.
There you go. So Mark, it's already been done. Just on what scale?
That's right.
Yeah.
So
pretty much, there's been a lot of cool stuff that I've seen with stickers. I got a couple brand new Rangers in Green Bay that are fully wrapped in MAGS, and some of the best guides in the Midwest. Brett Alexander and Lonnie Goman both have they're full brand new Rangers wrapped in mags, and there's a lot of cool stuff out there that I never dreamed would ever happen.
We'll get a small sticker so Mark can put it on that tri-bike when he's pulling the cultivator through his food plot.
Right.
Yeah. So he can represent. There you go.
Yeah.
So, Danny, you ready?
I'm ready.
We're going to turn you loose now. So, Danny's got a couple questions here that he loves to ask everybody. Tammy's waiting to hear the answers. So,
yeah. So
we'll keep it simple.
We keep it simple. We keep it fun. We keep it lighthearted, just like we're sitting around. Well, we'll say we're sitting around the bass boat.
There you go.
Sitting on the lake talking. You know, you do a lot. You do some traveling. You said you've been to Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, downstate Michigan. When you're traveling, what are you listening to on the radio?
If I'm traveling by myself, a lot of times I won't listen to nothing. I don't know, that's my time for quiet, and I get to think and just kind of, but sometimes I like rock and roll. Sometimes I get into like the motivational podcasts and just like, stuff like that. But a lot of times I don't even listen to the radio when I'm on road trips.
You know, I get a feeling I know what you're doing. You're thinking it gives you that time, peace of mind to think business. What's your next step? What's your next reach, right?
I'm constantly trying to keep it going and, what I can do better. And, I just want to keep the train moving.
All right. So while you're thinking to yourself how big you're going to make it, whether you're going to be the next big guy out there, well-known MAGS custom, what are you snacking on? What's your go-to snack?
Man, I like jerky and they're like the extreme, like Sour Patch Kids, but the different brand. They're like the extreme. So once in a while, I'm not a huge candy guy, but yeah. And if there's a taco spot around, I'm definitely hitting that up.
All right, that's cool. That's cool. I tell you what, someday Mike and Dan and Adam are going to come up with Tammy and Mark, and we're going to stop at your house, and you're gonna make us a meal. What would be your go-to meal to say, hey guys, this is going to knock your socks off? What would you make for us?
I would probably. I've been doing a lot of smoking lately on my grill. I've been doing some ribs that have been extremely good, but that's probably something like ribs or like maybe a brisket. I've done a handful of briskets lately, and they're good. So
made with sauce or dry rub?
Dry rub.
Okay.
Or my dad has a taco truck, and it's absolutely amazing. He parks it in front of my shop about 3 times a week in the summer, so I eat those up pretty good too.
Road trip, dude. We got to make a road trip up north.
Yeah.
Fishing rods and a taco truck.
That's right.
Yeah. And I've been eating them for 34 years, and they are so good still. I could eat them every day.
Nice.
All right, 2 questions left. One is from Tammy. What is the best piece of business advice you could give someone that you use?
You got to surround yourself with the right people. And the biggest thing with anything is you just have to work hard. Like, you have to, people think that, oh, I'm lucky. It's like, I worked super hard, and to get where I'm at, everything I've ever done, I've always just worked really hard at it. And I've been successful at a lot of things that I've done. And you're going to fail. Things are going to happen, but you just got to keep going. No matter what happens, you got to keep going, and you got to work. Got to outwork the competition is what my dad and my coach always used to tell me. And outwork the competition, and the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I am a 100% believer in both of those.
Yeah, your hard work brings you your own luck.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Exactly. So Mark Coleman says barbecue, I'm on the way, and Tammy says we need your dad is someone we need to meet. Yum onto the taco truck. All right. So we sat there. Your dad is. We went to the taco truck. We all had some tacos. We're all sitting around. We're stuffed. What would be an outdoor story, whether it be fishing related, hunting related, your rod business related? What's a story you're going to tell us that rings in your mind that is something you'd want to tell us?
Just like any kind of fishing story, or just
anything that made an impact in your mind that you'd want to tell somebody else, us.
I would probably go into detail about like it makes for good convo, and just anyone that's like struggling or just like anything in general. I like to kind of tell people my story and like what happened, and just go into detail and like how dark that place really was, and just no matter where you are, like, you can make it happen. You just got to work, and you just got to do it, and you can't stop. You know, there's going to be really tough days and bad days, and you just got to brush them off and get up the next morning and just keep it going, because, you know, if you quit, it's never going to work. So
amen to that.
You know, and that's the thing. It's almost, in essence, a motivational speaking moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. That's just how I've always done it.
It's a life lesson, right? So,
yeah.
Adam, do you got anything for our guest?
I think that's about it. I think we picked his brain about his business there for sure.
Yeah, there's some knowledge dropped in this one. This was a good one.
Yeah, I tell you what, folks. Like I said, we've had Pat on for an hour now. Get over there to his website, magscustomrods.com. You can check him out on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Yep, it's just Mags Custom Rods on both.
So get over there, give him a like, give him a share. If you're ever up in the Gwinn area in the UP of Michigan, he does have a brick and mortar store, so stop in. Like you said, check him out and enjoy a taco truck while you're there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, he's here 2 nights a week, so.
There you go. So,
all right. Well, we're going to wrap up the show here. Hang with us, Pat, after we get done here and we sign off. We'll chat briefly, and then we'll let you go. But for everybody who's listening on the podcast portion of the show, make sure that you go over to iTunes, give us a review over there, if you would, please. That helps the people who support us, and in turn, that helps us support them as well. For those of you that are watching live, do the same thing. Give us a like, follow, share. Go over to all his social media pages over at Mags Custom Rods. Give him a like, follow, share as well. Share the show for us. We certainly would appreciate
and
that.
And if you catch our show on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. That helps us as well.
There you go. So next Wednesday,
we are going to talk about that hat right there.
That one right there.
That right there.
And everything that came around the event that happened with that hat.
And the only hint we're going to give you is we were up at TAC.
There you go. So that's going to do it for us this week, folks. Make sure you tune in next Wednesday night, 7:30, same time right here on Facebook. Y'all take care. Stay cool out there. It's hot. We'll see y'all next week.
This episode was brought to you by PSC Archery,
Deer Camp Coffee,
Buck Baits,
JPO Game Calls,
The Island Armory,
Hacker Max,
Sunrise Archery,
and C3 Better the Hunt Technology.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.